Hi everybody, I'm Kalen Matney, and today I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the material I used to create this storm on the horizon material. It's a fully customizable material. It lets you control or animate the amount the storm has rolled in, the direction it's rolling in from, and the darkness or lightness of the effect. First up, let's go over what you're going to need. You're going to need a sky sphere. There's plenty of tutorials out there on creating these, so I won't get into it, but one important thing is the UVs. You're going to want your UV channel 0 to be the top-down projection, and the channel 1 to be a mirrored cylindrical projection. It can be any size or shape you want, but I definitely think the kind of squash sphere looks best. Next up is your texture. This is just some nice fluffy looking clouds taken in and made tileable and added to the red, green, blue, and alpha channels of your texture. I made it 2048, but size is up to you. Your red and green are going to be your most important, so definitely make those your best. Blue and alpha are simply used for variation later on. Then the red and the green are taken into Crazy Bump and just made into normal maps. Keep them nice and fluffy, try not to get any sharp detail in there. And you can keep the resolution pretty low. And with that, we'll go into the actual material itself. This is the final result that I came up with. I've got the cloud wipe. This is where all the controls are for direction and the amount of roll-in. The direction actually controls UVs for not only the mask for the clouds, but also for the clouds themselves. It goes into a rotator for each one. I kept them all separate with separate UV coordinates simply so I could add variation later, but honestly all this could be pared down to one set. The only thing to keep separate would be the panners, which we keep those separate for variation in the cloud speeds. Each panner has its own directional speed, and not huge variations, but enough to give it a good look. I then went and actually further modified the UVs for the blue and alpha channel, but we'll get into that in a minute. First up, let's go over our first rotator. The mask I actually created with just the red channel of a UV texture coordinate node. I brought that in through the rotator and through the panner and modified it enough to give it a little bit of modulation, and then sent that through a mask and a clamp to give us this. So I'll actually throw that into the emissive so you can see what it looks like on its own. Actually, let's kill the lighting as well so that you can see. So there you can kind of see how it's working. If I were to just throw the panner in, you can actually see it even better. So down here we've got our cloud wipe. This is the amount that it's actually coming up over the horizon when this is set to 1. That means the clouds have completely taken over. And of course, 0 means no clouds in the sky. This took a lot of playing and back and forth just to get these numbers. But what I ended up with works really well, so I'll just stick with it. The panner is mildly important. You have to set this to -1 so that direction is coming in from white to black, otherwise it ends up reversed. The mask actually comes in with a 1 to -1 ratio. That's why the constant clamp. And that gives us our wipe. The rest of this is just all modulation and modifications just to give it the cloud look. Alright, I'll undo all of that and get back into the next process.